We will get started here, and yeah, we are really grateful for everyone jumping on this. We do these every single week. Each week, it's a different topic. And this week, we're going to be focusing on AI in behavioral health and how our new integrated AI products at Alleva are revolutionizing the industry and helping people in the market. And so, we'll be discussing a number of different topics on top of that about AI, starting with like what it actually is, right? Our own personal experiences with it, some of the main problems within behavioral health that AI is solving for, the overall impact of AI, even some points of opposition to AI, and some of the falsehoods in those contention points. And then finally, we'll talk through some of the future developments to the Alleva Echo product that we have that we're working on, that will be available shortly to everyone within the platform. And so, just so everyone knows who they're listening to speak today, my name is Chase Temple. I am an account executive here at Alleva. I sit in Los Angeles and often work out of our HQ in Laguna Niguel. I worked for software companies my whole entire career. I've sold into multiple different industries, but by far the most fulfilling of them all has been being able to engage with professionals in the behavioral health space. It's an industry that is incredibly special to me because of my own personal journey through recovery and the experiences and the tools that I've acquired from being a patient and client in various different facilities. And as we all know, there is such a huge need for treatment in the world today, and it's an honor to be able to play a small role in the work that everyone that's joining this webinar today does day in and day out to help those that are struggling. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chase. My name's Austin Owens. I'm a solutions engineer for the team. Essentially, it's my role to help match technology with the needs of our clients, understanding what their challenges are, what their goals are, what their workflows are, so that we're setting them up with the best package of technology to help them achieve that and take their program to the next level. Um, I'm based in Utah in one of our HQ offices just outside of Salt Lake. I've been working in technology for about 15 years now in software and tech. Little bit of a black sheep in my family. Everyone else, my parents, all my siblings, all went into the medical program. And so coming to Alleva has been kind of a nice way for me to like better connect with that side of myself and where I come from. And very passionate about the space and helping people, especially with just the boom of how behavioral health has been growing and all the needs that are out there. So yeah, excited to be here.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Austin. Yeah, just to kick things off, want to give a brief introduction to AI, really talking about what it is, even our personal experiences with AI in society today, and then ending on one of the biggest problems that we see in the behavioral health space. And when it comes to AI, a lot of us have probably asked the question of what is it? How does it work? I definitely have, and I'm by no means an expert, but as AI becomes more integrated into our lives, I've definitely tried to become as educated as possible through the resources that are available to me, whether that be people at work, websites, articles, TV shows, even YouTube videos are really informative. There's so much information out there about what it is and how it's evolving. So I definitely encourage everyone to do some research if you haven't already, and keep sharpening the saw with AI information. And so you'll probably know AI stands for artificial intelligence. It's a type of technology that basically allows machines, whether it's a computer, laptop, phone, car, to simulate human intelligence and ultimately perform tasks based on the information that's presented to it. So as AI is trained and presented with more information over time, it also becomes more advanced and can accomplish more advanced tasks. And so, a really easy way for us all to understand just how it works. This was presented to me not too long ago, and it really, really resonated. Just imagine that your 5-year-old self, your parents are having a night out on the town. They don't just walk out the door once the babysitter comes. They give the babysitter specific instructions, what time you need to go to bed, what you can have for a snack, what to do in case of emergency. And then when those situations arise, the babysitter takes action, right? They put you to bed at the right time, they feed you before, and they handle anything that needs to be handled if it comes up. And that's exactly the way that AI works and how it's trained, right? You provide the AI technology with data, and then it uses that data to respond appropriately in various situations. Now, there are tons of different types of AI technologies in the market today, in many different use cases, but it all boils down to how it's making our lives easier, how it helps us perform tasks faster, and really work with more efficiency. Just transitioning to kind of my own personal experience with AI and Austin's personal experience, we thought this would be a really good exercise for everyone to kind of think about just AI in their lives, right? And then also start to think about like, hey, how could that translate into behavioral health, and how is it translating into behavioral health today? So, um, for myself, every time I do a Google search, I'm reminded of how helpful AI can be, right? I type in a question into Google, and instantly I'm greeted with a bolded text-based response that addresses the question that I asked, right? So instead of having to sift through multiple articles to find my answer, it consolidates the information found in those sources and presents it in an organized fashion that's digestible. I'm also constantly reminded of how awesome AI is during my job as a sales rep at Alleva. So we have a few tools in place here that basically take the information that's discussed in conversations that I'm having, and it summarize it into a follow-up template with those people that I'm having a conversation with. And I can just easily copy and paste it into an email, saving me hours of work time on manually writing recap emails. And so because of that, I can then allocate more of my time towards other things like product knowledge, team strategy, finding solutions for the health professionals that I'm speaking to that really need help. And so, AI just, it truly makes me better at my job. Austin, if you want to go over your experiences.
Yeah. No, and what I love about what you just said, Chase, with your experiences, like it sounds like really kind of what these tools help you do is be more of yourself in your job, like show up more. You're amazing at connecting with people and understanding challenges and presenting solutions. And the more time you can do that, and the less time you have to spend trying to like type up emails and sift through a bunch of information, like it really helps you bring more of yourself to your day to day. Right. And there's a lot of opportunity, of course, within like business ways that AI can help us be more productive and streamline our workflows. But it's not only that, like there's a lot of like really cool, unique ways that the AI is impacting our personal lives as well. It doesn't have to be so results oriented, right? Like an example, over the past couple of weeks, me and my girlfriend started using Chat GPT to interpret our dreams. Now, I don't know if anybody here has done that, but it's kind of crazy, like kind of spooky, the types of things that it calls out and like insights that it'll pull through. You'll have just this wild dream that makes no sense, that's completely random, and we'll plug like a summary into Chat GPT, and it will give you things to think about, like, hey, maybe this could symbolize something that's going on in your life or a fear that you have or something you're facing. And it just kind of gives you a gateway to go a little bit deeper into your own personal work and thinking through things and approaching life. So it's just fascinating, like how many different places this touches. The key is just kind of making sense of it and understanding how it can be used to better what we're doing day in and day out.
Awesome. That's super cool. I don't even know if ChatGPT wants to know about my dreams. They are so crazy. But that's awesome that you and your significant other are doing that, Austin. Yeah, hopefully if, for everyone on the call, the creative juices are kind of flowing. You're thinking about how you've engaged with AI in your day to day, and even maybe where AI can help you in your job, right? And there's a number of different challenges within behavioral health, right? And Austin will touch on some interesting stats in one of the future slides um, that sort of add color to the problems. But right now, I really want to focus on some of the core challenges we're seeing today in behavioral health and how AI can help solve them. So, one of the main problems that's really at the root of AI becoming such a hot topic within behavioral health is that it's taking way more time than it should for clinicians to chart for notes, resulting in longer labor hours, increased costs, clinician burnout, and subpar patient outcomes. And so typically, therapists or clinicians today have to run the session with the client. They take notes themselves, either on paper or maybe they're just taking mental notes. And then after the session concludes, they're then manually charting a note for each session. And so the issue is that with a large caseload or a building caseload, it can take up a lot of their time and add unnecessary stress to their day, which is the last thing anyone wants. But especially when therapy is already really intense and emotionally demanding, adding more stress with the burden of writing complex, detailed notes is really just throwing the fuel in the fire. And so with AI, we're essentially removing that manual note charting process from their workflow, which is allowing clinicians to have more time to focus on the client and providing treatment, doing what they do best, right? And so in healthcare generally, an interesting stat that I wanted to share that I came across was reviewing medical records in the EMR can take up to 35% to 55% of a clinician's workday. That's a ton of time, and it makes sense that it takes that long, right? Because of all the requirements that need to be met within each note, whether it's billing codes or assessments or specific language that needs to be used with certain insurance companies. And because of this, there's a lot of redundancies that take place when clinicians are trying to capture data into and information into that note, right? And ultimately, it leads to a lot of clinicians just feeling burnt out. And when a clinician gets burnt out, sometimes they miss things. And when client data is missed or not accounted for, that can significantly impact the quality of treatment that's provided, and as a result, result in inferior client outcomes. Another snowballing impact that we see from clinician burnout is programs can often see just a really high level of turnover, which is never a good thing. They can find themselves in sort of like an endless cycle of having to continuously rehire and retrain staff over and over again, which of course leads to unnecessary additional costs. And so at Alleva, we really want to help reduce all of this and ultimately help clinicians and therapists do their job better, see more clients, and save more lives by utilizing evolving technologies like AI. We also want to help professionals who may not know about the power of AI in behavioral health understand how it can help them today and in the future through the products that we offer. And we're looking forward to showing you how we can do that in Aliva today.
And great point, Chase. Like and especially when we think about kind of how much the industry is growing, right? Like that stress and kind of pushing those bandwidth to capacity. A lot of programs, like it's very front of mind. Like, how can we streamline efficiencies, right? Like as more and more people are seeking help and coming into the door, right? Like what types of tools can help my people be able to do more with less? And that's a great that's a great stage for AI. When we think of solutions, like, what are ways that we can help our team be more effective. Just looking at kind of the healthcare industry and behavioral health, from a broad perspective today, right? Kind of where are we at right now when it comes to using our data effectively? Reports show only about 3% of data in healthcare is really effectively used, right? There's so much information in EMRs out there, but very little of it is effectively used, because it's all over the place, right? Like there's demographics, there's treatment plans, there's service notes, there's history, there's all sorts of stuff. And it can be hard to connect those dots, right? Especially when we've got, a full caseload, and so much time of our day is spent meeting with and helping our clients. Um, and to add to that, the NIH estimates that amount of data is only doubling about every 73 days, right? So the more time goes on, like essentially the more and more we end up drowning in our data if we don't have solutions to help leverage and take advantage of that. And that's really why we see AI, really leading the forefront of a lot of this transformation in healthcare and behavioral health. Right. Last year alone, about 80% of EMR providers either integrated with and launched or announced that they would be integrating with AI tools. So it's an exciting time to be part of the space, just with all the new technology and opportunities coming out.
Yeah, thanks, Austin. Yeah, I think those stats are super compelling. I mean, it's clear that there's so much data out there, and the amount of data is growing every single day, and there's only so much data that can be accounted for and put into action, right? And that's really why I think AI has grown so much over the past couple years, is because we're seeing that data be used more effectively with AI. One of the ways that we've thought about incorporating AI into our products and utilizing data more effectively is through one of our products called Travis AI. This is our ChatGPT powered chatbot system that's directly integrated into the EMR platform. It's called Travis AI because we had an incredibly resourceful employee at Alleva that is now, unfortunately, no longer with us. But because of his dedication to be such a helpful person, both internally with colleagues, helping people ramp into their roles, answering questions, and even externally too, with clients that he's worked with, we thought it was an amazing opportunity to name this tool after Travis. And so, what is ChatGPT? ChatGPT is basically a type of AI. It's called a large language model. It was started by the company OpenAI and is widely used today, and basically generates text responses based on questions or commands that are prompted to it. So I'll walk through a demo of Travis AI here shortly, but Aliba users can essentially prompt the Travis AI tool with different questions or commands. And then what it does is it scans a really, really vast data set, whether it's websites and or books or articles that are consisting of this data set or just other content, to really provide you with an accurate and detailed response. It can be really useful for the users of Aliva in a lot of different ways, but firstly, providing patient education is really one of the main impacts that we're seeing from Travis AI. So, for example, if you wanted to, you can go to Travis and have it generate easy to understand content on various behavioral health topics, whether it's on information related to anxiety, depression, coping strategies, self-care techniques, mindfulness practices that you want to recommend. Um, Users can use the information that's presented to them as sort of part of their therapy materials and make it a resource to the clients that they're seeing. Secondly, it can really help out with patient questions. So let's say a clinician is unsure of how to respond to a question. Travis AI can really help with providing that answer quickly instead of the therapist or clinician having to spend more time doing any external research and digging for that answer or response. Another way we're seeing it be beneficial is with things like treatment plan drafting, right? We have some great treatment plan tools that are built in within the EMR that are fueled by evidence-based treatment and by Wiley treatment planning. But using Travis, you can basically prompt a draft of a treatment plan for a specific diagnosis, and it can pull all the information that's out there from therapeutic models, goals, interventions that are commonly used in therapy, which is again just another resource, can save time, and it really ensure a structured approach to patient care. And so, just to show everyone where to find Travis AI within their Alleva EMR, I will do a brief screen share and bring up my Alleva demo account here. And to navigate to Travis, anywhere that you're finding yourself on the EMR, whether it's here on the dashboard or maybe it's within the individual session note, you can always navigate towards or to the purple plus sign. And then this initial brain icon brings up the Travis AI chatbot. Now, in my Travis AI, I have assigned a few different prompts here that I can always rely on. So if you know questions that you're going to want to always click on, or if you have specific prompts that you want to preset, you can do that on the back end of Alleva. And just as an exercise, I'll click on mindfulness exercises. So if I want Travis AI to recommend mindfulness exercises for a patient with depression, I can click on it, and then scrolling up, this would be the response that is generated again by scanning all of that content, all those sources that are available to me, and providing me a really concise and informative response on various exercises like breathing, and how to perform a specific breathing technique. And then you can continue to ask questions in response to this, or you can also click into the text box into the Travis AI, and maybe you want to ask a question that's not preset. Maybe I want to generate a treatment plan for opioid use disorder. Similar to the last option that I chose, it will pull up that response and showcase a sample treatment plan with different options to fill in, right? Patient name, and then all the different components of what an opioid disorder treatment plan should and could look like, and just giving more data at the fingertips of that therapist or clinician to make a better structured treatment plan for specific diagnosis. So hopefully that was helpful for everyone to see where to access Travis AI, how it works, and the power behind it, and maybe how you could use it while you're using the Alleva EMR system. I will pass to you, Austin, to touch on the Alleva Echo.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Chase. It's a powerful little AI assistant, right? And what's really cool about it is that you can actually configure your own prompts, right? So let's say your program is working with a specific demographic, maybe it's a specific age range, specific ethnicities. Maybe you're seeing like a diagnosis that's very common among your census, right? Having prompts that are specific right, to kind of what you're seeing most often that your therapists and clinicians can have resources for just right at the click of a button. So cool stuff. I'm gonna pull my screen back up, and then we'll go over the latest and greatest as far as AI products that are now available within Alleva. This is called Alleva Echo. And what Alleva Echo is, it's known as a generative AI that's fully integrated into Alleva. And essentially, what generative AI tools are is they have ability to create content, right? They can take information and data, whether that's coming from a voice dictation, a summary, a data source, whatever that might be, and actually generate and create content out of it. So is really like a straight down the fairway type of application for summarizing and formatting notes from sessions and from treatment. So essentially what it does is Alleva Echo will listen to the session and summarize the note for you. And not only that, but it will generate a note, right? Whether that's a DAP note, a SOAP note, a progress note, can also be trained if you have your own custom notes that you'd like to use as a template. And it can be done in a variety of different methods. So to jump into showing you how Alleva Echo works, right? When this is activated, right in your individual session note, you'll have a button here to launch the Alleva Echo. So whether I'm sitting down face to face with my client in office, or I'm starting a telehealth session, or maybe I'm even coming in after the fact just to like quickly summarize what happened and then get a note generated out of it. I'd click here, and this is going to launch the Echo interface, right? So as I mentioned, there's a variety of different ways that you can use this. Starting with just listening into a live session, right? Let's say I'm face to face with my client, and right from my device, I can start recording the session. If I'm doing telehealth, right, there's a link here where I can have this join my telehealth session and then listen and transcribe. If your program happens to be already recording audio for these sessions, then it's as simple as taking that recorded audio file. You can import it here and then have Alleva Echo summarize and generate that note for you. You also have the option to type. So if you're somebody that prefers to be hands-on keyboard, right, you just got out of a session with the client and you've typed out some raw notes from that session without formatting it, without getting it ready for final charting. You can have Alleva Echo do the rest of that legwork of generating the note. And then finally, you have the option to voice dictate a summary of that session, right? So again, whether you forget to record this in a live session, or maybe you prefer not to use this in live sessions, maybe you have a client that doesn't feel comfortable having a session listened into by technology. You can jump in here and just do a quick voice dictation after that session, right? So let's pretend I'm just summarizing what happened, speak into my microphone. Once I'm done, it will immediately transcribe what I put into it, right? So here's an example of just a quick summary of a session that I had with John, what we talked about, and what next steps are. And then down here is where I can select which type of note I would like that to generate, right? So for this example, let's say I need to chart a DAP note for this particular session. So I'll select DAP note, I hit generate note, and then right away it'll take my dictation and it will create and populate a DAP note for me that's ready to go, right? I can quickly review this if I want to make any edits or adjustment, and of course I can do that, but it'll serve that up to me, and then I can push this straight back into my notes section within Alleva. So saving me a lot of time, right? Now, as I'm in between sessions with my clients, I don't have to spend as much time hands-on keyboard and critically thinking through how I'm going to structure and build out this DAP note within literally a matter of seconds, right? Alleva Echo can put that together and generate that for me. So that's a quick look at how Alleva Echo works. And then from here, we'll jump into some areas of impact that our clients are seeing by using some of these AI tools within Alleva. Oh, you might be on mute, Chase.
Sorry about that, guys. Awesome demo, Austin. It's great to see just how you start up Alleva Echo and then the steps it can remove from that manual charting process. And we touched on, the problems on some earlier slides, the challenges, right? The implications of those challenges on within the industry. And we've shown you the two solutions that we offer too as well. So, want to get into some of the areas of impact, right? Where Alleva can really offer a few different valuable solutions to try and reduce those challenges, right? So, firstly, going back to the overarching problem of inefficiencies and lost time. One of the main ways that AI can help with this is through that core functionality of Alleva Echo, where by being able to listen and then automatically transcribing and summarizing those client conversations, therapists can ultimately focus more on their patients now and less on the paperwork side. It's being reported on today that technology like Alleva Echo can help reduce that charting time by roughly 40% for clinicians. They can also, just through saving that time with all that documentation, that can also reduce the likelihood of that clinician burnout, just freeing up more of their mental space to, again, focus more on their patients and more on their well-being. Um, it'll also just help them feel a lot less overwhelmed and possibly even open up the door to be able to see additional clients during the day. Secondly, it can also improve accuracy and help with consistency in documentation by reducing human error. So oftentimes there are, certain requirements for notes based on industry or based on level of care, and Alleva Echo can really make sure that the records are um, as accurate as possible and in the right format so they don't need to be redone or even reviewed as much. There also can be just a lot of impact on um, organization and the organization for notes because Alleva can organize the data in a certain way. And because of that, it makes it easier for the therapist to find relevant notes from the past, like track the patient's journey over time, and then being able to track that with more accuracy will just lead to more better actions being taken, and then as a result, more positive patient outcomes. And then finally, just because documentation is more accurate and organized, compliance is affected, right? So it ensures a higher level of compliance with different accrediting bodies within the industry, which is a huge part of the industry today, and I know a big focus for programs.
Yeah, thanks, Chase. And there's definitely a lot of upside potential and ways that this can help solve some of the problems that we're facing as an industry. But it's also important, right, to consider and kind of think through like, well, hey, what are the risks? What are some of the oppositions, the objections, hesitations, right, when it comes to adopting AI? Right? There's a lot out there. There's a lot of kind of AI trends in the world, and for me personally, like a lot of it feels kind of spooky, right? Like it's kind of scary, like not knowing exactly what the future looks like and just how far-reaching this type of stuff can get. Right. So it's important to kind of think through and be mindful of some of the areas of risk and things to be aware of as you consider adopting AI and like what your strategy for using it is moving forward and into the future. So pulled together just a couple of the most common objections that we hear or hesitations when it comes to using AI tools, and one of the biggest ones by far is a lot of folks, especially clinicians, will say like, "Hey, this kind of feels like cheating." Right. And ultimately the elephant in the room here to address is Is this something that's going to replace my job, right? And I think that's something that most people face in the world today, like as AI is becoming more and more rampant. Hey, is this something that could eventually replace my job? Is this a threat, right? And what this really ultimately comes down to, like where this is rooted, is in a place of, the how I'm doing my job versus why I'm doing my job, right? Those kind of two different elements: how I'm doing my job versus why am I doing my job. Um, and while charting and note taking, like that's traditionally been a big part of how we do our jobs as clinicians, the why is very different. Why the why is like we're here to help people. We're here to help create value, help people heal, help people recover and get better. And as clinicians start adopting some of these tools like Alleva Echo, what they're finding is it actually gives them more time and space to be able to focus more of their energy on that why, right? Less of their time, less of their bandwidth is spent on how they do their job, right? Less time spent charting and sitting at the desk doing admin work. Giving them more time and more mental space to really focus on helping people get better, right? And to kind of think of like a metaphor when it comes to this. If I'm building a house, like, yeah, I could go get a hammer and a box of nails and I could complete the job and get a house done. But I could do it much faster, like multiple times faster if I have a nail gun and I have power tools, right? That's really what Alleva Echo and Travis AI are designed to do is be power tools for clinicians, enabling them to have a much greater impact and much greater ability to be able to help and service their clients. Another one we hear and you're kind of seeing across like Reddit boards and forums, is this fear and this concern that, hey, payers are going to start rejecting AI generated notes. Like they're going to flag that and reject notes that are generated by AI. And reality is, right, that payer acceptance it's a significant issue in the industry, like AI or not, right? Like getting reimbursement and getting notes accepted has always been a struggle and a big challenge that a lot of programs are trying to solve and stay on top of. Um, However, AI tools, especially when they're built correctly and implemented correctly, they can create notes that are accurate, that are clear, that are reflective of the client's condition and care. And they can also create notes that are designed to align with payer requirements. Again, the key is making sure that you're using AI tools that are built specifically for that purpose, instead of just like, off the shelf, like going to OpenAI or ChatGPT to try to put together notes. Lastly, big concern, of course, is compliance. In the healthcare space, managing risk is a huge part of that business model, right? And so making sure that, again, AI tools are built specifically for your industry, aligning with compliance, legal, ethical standards, that are integrated in with your EMR, that don't put patient data at risk is a huge consideration to take, right? The healthcare industry is evolving at a really fast pace. I would say even more so in behavioral health, right? And AI is already playing a major role in that transformation. And as such, right, these payers are already becoming more familiar and more accepting of some of these tools to help bring that level of care to the next evolution. So there are kind of a couple of things to consider. There's a lot of startups and new AI companies coming out. Like a lot of you have probably seen a lot of that. Getting a lot of marketing emails from new AI tools for behavioral health. So these are some important things to consider as you're evaluating tools and thinking through your AI strategy.
Yeah, thanks, Austin. It's no surprise that, there are those points of opposition, right? This is unfamiliar territory for a lot of us with new technology. So, of course, with anything new, there's going to be those questions. But clearly there's some things that are backed up, right, and are proven to be working out and for the greater good through AI, whether it be around compliance or any of the things that Austin touched on. And so, with just shifting gears into the ROI of Alleva Echo, we talked about the areas of impact, and that's awesome. But what's the return from using AI, right? And the reality of it is that programs can see a lot of return over time from clinicians incorporating AI into their workflows, right? So number one, data shows that by using this type of technology, there's the potential to reduce administrative costs by 30 to 40%. And that's through that documentation automating piece that we saw with the Alleva Echo. So um, when you reduce administrative costs like that, it can really help translate into cost savings for clinics and providers, allowing them to focus more on other resources, whether that be direct patient care, maybe if it's even expansion, right, on opening up new facilities or new companies. And so the second piece, the automation can also reduce clinician burnout by roughly 40% by allowing professionals to focus more on that patient care, again, rather than those administrative duties that they're needing to do manually, right? And this is going to help retain those professionals. So it's going to reduce that turnover and increase that provider satisfaction. Um, it can also assist in ensuring that documentation is more complete and accurate. And number one, this can help prevent a lot of costly penalties during audits, right? And it can also reduce the risk of billing errors. So as notes are being completed with a higher level of accuracy, that risk of sending a claim out and then having it be denied shoots way down. So obviously a huge benefit. And then lastly, just by helping to better organize and analyze the data with AI, more accurate data can improve those patient outcomes and reduce the cost of care, especially in certain value-based care models where reimbursement is directly tied to um, those patient outcomes. So just having better data, being able to make better decisions, whether it be around their treatment plan or during therapy sessions, right? That better decision making ultimately is going to result in better treatment and better patient outcomes. And what we're seeing right now is that the customers that use this, they're able to see the therapists are able to see one extra client per day. We're hopefully going to see this number grow, but that's a direct return right there. Just being able to serve more clients and see a higher return for that, both with the program and with patient outcomes and the treatment that they're seeing and the recovery that they're seeing from that.
Yeah, thank you, Chase. These are huge, and what's really awesome is that these are all real results that our clients are seeing today, right? We soft launched Alleva Echo end of last year and are kind of officially doing the full go to market next month. Which by the way, if anybody here has not yet jumped on and gotten their hands on Alleva Echo, there's a link to a form here in the chat if you'd like to fill that out and connect with your rep here at Alleva to learn more about it. Also, a reminder, we're coming up towards the end here, so if anybody has any questions that they've been holding on to, please feel free to drop those in the Q&A section, and we'll get to those here shortly. So last point here that we want to touch on is looking into the future, right? Where are things going for Alleva and AI? What's our vision? What's on the roadmap, right? And just kind of a couple of big things to tease out that the team is actively working on and putting together is functionality around connecting more of those dots within the EMR when it comes to being able to pull insights and help clinicians better show up and be well equipped to meet with their clients on a day-to-day basis. On the one hand, we have pre-session reviews. So using tools like Echo to take into account all different data points in the EMR about a client, right? Review action items from a last session, compare that with treatment plans, with their treatment history, with demographics, right? Reviewing changes or updates to the treatment plan, basically kind of giving them a suggested brief on things that would be important to touch on and continue on before they go into a session with a client. On the tail end of that, post session actions, right? So kind of making suggestions based off of what happened in that session. Some examples like, hey, is this client ready to be stepped down? Like if they made enough progress that we feel they need to be stepped down, or do we recommend that we step them up, right? They're needing a higher level of care. Also, do we need to make tweaks or adjustments to the treatment plan, right? Maybe change some goals or objectives or adjust things to better align with what that client needs based off of what was discussed in that session. And then from a more kind of management, global perspective, providing an analytics dashboard where managers and directors can essentially use Alleva Echo to be that fly on the wall to understand what's happening and what trends are they're seeing across the treatment being provided to their clients. So some things like talk time as well as sentiment, right? Kind of picking up on vocal tones of clients and being able to kind of report on that as well as understand trends there. Talk times, right? That's a big one when it comes to outcomes. Like we know that the more a client is engaged in their treatment, the more likely they are to have better outcomes. And so if we can have a tool that can track, how much of our time, how much of the time are clients actually engaging and speaking in sessions, right? Is it like clinicians talking 80% of the time, clients talking 20% of the time? Is it more 50-50 split? Like where's like that happy spot to um, optimize outcomes? All of this, which can help directors and managers both make better decisions and also be better equipped in coaching and training and helping their team level up as their programs are growing. So that should be something kind of getting excited about, right? Like what does the future of this look like? Where is this going? You kind of see the vision and where Alleva is headed.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Austin. Yeah, lots on the roadmap and a lot coming down the pipeline. This is truly just the beginning for AI and for AI within Alleva. And like always, we are continuing to invest in other ways that we can integrate it into the system. And thank you everyone for joining. This sort of concludes the presentation portion of the webinar today. I do see that there is a question from Emmy. I saw that you're raising your hand. Emmy, I don't know if there's a way for you to type your question into the chat or the Q&A section. There should be a Q&A section for you if you do want to ask your question. All right, Emmy, we'll give you some time to ask your question and find the chat. There is another question that I see. Can I use other types of note templates within Alleva Echo? That's a really great question. So Austin showed how you can generate the session summary into a DAP note or a SOAP note or a snag and snap. The reality of it is any templates that you utilize today for your program can be built, and we can build those and apply those to the Alleva Echo. So if there's other templates that you prefer to use, we could definitely look at sort of customizing those if you are to use Alleva Echo long term and make sure that that summary really takes that next step and gets generated into that template and that progress note that you do use.
Great question. Got a question from Matt. So, using it for individual sessions works great. Can we use it in group sessions, group of 6 clients or more? Great question. So that will be included in our release next month. So next month when we have our full go-to-market with Alleva Echo, that will fully support group sessions. And yes, that will work for groups of 6 or more. So
Awesome. Yeah, great question, Matt. Yeah, I've talked to a lot of clinicians that are using they leave an echo for individual sessions, and they say it's great, but they've also asked me about the group session, and really it seems like for new therapists that are coming onto a program that are maybe fresher into the industry, like just to like expedite that ramp time to give them a little bit more of a safety net with all the information that passes and is exchanged within a group, that the group session or the AI for the group session can be really, really helpful. So I'm definitely excited for that to be released. And then Emmy, saw your question. Travis AI is actually not even in the trial phase. So that is available to be accessed right now within the EMR platform. So just navigate to that purple plus sign button, click on it, and then you should have that brain icon populate, and then that's when you can open up the Travis AI chatbot. There is if it doesn't show up, there is a section on the system settings where I believe you can configure sort of the format of your purple plus sign button. So if it's not already in there, you may just need to tweak your settings a bit. And if you're having trouble, I can follow up with you after the webinar here and give you some more detailed instructions on where to find that and make sure that it's in that purple plus sign shortcut icon.
so, okay. So I have another question here. Using AI for assessments, or for like a biopsychosocial. Yeah, great question. So that's not yet supported today, but that's absolutely on the roadmap of incorporating that into more of the documentation flows. So intakes as well as like treatment planning and things like that. We'll see more and more integration. This kind of session AI bot is really kind of the first iteration in our foray into bringing this into Alleva. So yeah, you're spot on with where we're heading.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Austin. Well, if there are no more questions, I'm just going to take this time to say thank you to everyone again. Really enjoyed talking about our products and AI within behavioral health, and hope to see you all in the coming weeks for future webinars. And I believe Austin dropped in the form into the chat. So if anyone's interested in just having a more targeted conversation around Alleva Echo or Travis AI and how it can help your staff, feel free to leave your information. We'll reach out to you and set some time up. But thank you all for joining here today, and hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday and great rest of the week.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Take care.